Right, get him sick and infected.
I feel it.
Your immunity.
Oh, God.
I'll take this immunity. Yeah. They give you pills to keep you from getting what I got. So. Yeah, weird. I used to make sure if I didn't feel good, I'd take one day off and then I just, burn through it and get well. I took 2 days off. November already. And Christmas is coming. So what are we even doing here? Anyway. So I was going to do, I can't remember why I was going to do something about pest control reports, but I will. I'll find a pair of them in here. And then with the RPA, I thought I got one the other day from somebody. I thought we'll just kind of go through that. Pick up wherever we left off, wherever that was about 3 weeks ago.
Nobody remembers.
See what happened. So I got a listing on Wasna Town site, and we beat all this stuff to death. So I'm going to go bye-bye with those forms. Oops, 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 oops. Anybody ever have a Mac SE 20?
Have I ever heard of one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever have one?
No.
They got sounds on them. I mean, they had sounds on them. They had a screen, like it was about 6-inch screen, it's like a weird old deal, but it was a graphic user interface. It was pictures, back in the days of Windows 95. And they had sounds, not very many, but you could set them to stuff so that, oops, that was the sound for everybody. Put that with the backspace or delete key. Oops,
funny.
oops,
So funny.
That reminds me, where is the radio button on these things? I mean, that radio button, all it is like a little thing that just tells you like 2 lines of what it is, or does it go into the explanation of that paragraph?
Oh, you mean Forms Tutor?
Yeah, sorry.
Wow.
Duh.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Forms Tutor.
there.
That's where it's at. So what I would do is I would go to, because we're just in an attachment to one of my emails right now. Is I might have opened zip form somewhere back there. I don't know where. I couldn't log into it this morning without. I had to do a double login thing to even get there. But I would just go to cr.org, go to the little search bar or whatever the hell that is up in the top right corner, and type in Forms Tutor, and it will take you right there.
Okay, so you can't pull that as you're doing a contract to explain that.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I don't know why you
did have
couldn't.
the thing he sent me that lasted a week.
Forms Tutor, Forms Advisors.
Where you could touch the
Yeah, I
line
don't know why
just
you
on,
couldn't
just
do it.
on the RLA.
Yeah.
It would tell you each line, what each line meant and all
Oh,
that.
then no more.
And they got a crap ton of forms in there. Yeah, they're
Okay. All right, thank you.
Forms Tutor. Forms Advisor is also in there. And that's one where you go like, wow, what forms do I need? But Forms Advisor does a really good job of going, we recommend you use like these probably 77 forms in this transaction.
That's a fact.
So Forms Advisor is like a bit over the top. Well, let's see, answer a few questions. Here's your transaction. Okay, our recommendation is pretty much every form in the entire stack, just in case.
Jeez.
You can tell who set that up. Somebody kind of liability conscious. Speaking of Forms Tutor, let's tutor. Is that everything? Yeah. Okay. So it's a regular RPA. You can't see that part. There you can. Yay. So Mary wants to buy 4970 Wasna Townside Road, blah, 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 blah. I got the assessor's parcel number in there. It's probably right. And why is it probably right? What do you think she did? Because the other thing that she got right was my name is spelled right everywhere
Yeah,
there.
she probably pulled it from MLS.
Probably MLS Connect, right? You push the button, it'll auto pop some of the information in
That doesn't
there.
mean it's right.
And it usually, yeah, it doesn't, yeah. So it auto pops whatever the agent put in.
Right.
So what's that old thing? GIG, garbage in, garbage out.
That's a fact.
Yep. So, and the assessor's parcel number is really important to all your transactions. Why?
For the national hazard.
Natural hazard disclosure. Yep. Natural hazard disclosure, that, further identifies the property and all kinds of good stuff like that.
Just X out, Gary.
Why is your license number so short?
13151.
Oh, you know what that is?
No, 0.
Property listing.
What else is going on? That's not.
That is not.
PI.
So it's on the line where the license number is, right?
Right.
So these are license numbers, right? And they all start with 0. Are
Right.
there any letters in any of those license numbers? No, hell no. There are no letters in license numbers. What is that?
Should be a 0.
It's a little short.
What, the PI?
No, that's.
I figured it's probably a list, number for a list.
MLS ID. Every office has an MLS ID.
Okay.
I used to work for PC 2326, and then when I was at Keller Williams, it was like PC 2411 or
Oh,
something.
that's
like
short too.
that. So apparently I'm
You can forget.
P 13151. I had no idea, and the P might be for Pismo. I have no idea what that is. Obviously, that's not a license number. Blew a giant hole in my theory all about she must use MLS Connect.
Right,
She
well.
hand entered that. Is that right?
No.
Hell no, that's not right. And that's why we're looking at a real contract.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Glad we could help.
Thanks for noticing. Thanks for noticing, Elizabeth, because I can't tell you how many times I've read this. We're in a counteroffer, situation. I've had it
Just
since,
another
what was that, the
side.
Friday after Thanksgiving?
form.
Yeah.
I should have caught that by now, but I never look at that paragraph because half the time my name's spelled wrong anyway.
And that's what you're looking at.
So that's wrong, yeah. And if you did MLS Connect, it probably would have auto popped the license number. I just can't tell you for sure if it would have or not. And the natural hazard disclosures are tied to the assessor's parcel number, and that's right, because I know that's right. Two things, right? I know that's the right number, and the other one is I know there's only one number because I've seen the map and I know what the property is, and I always pull my deed and all that stuff, and I match everything up. Because if there's two numbers, how many natural hazard disclosure reports do I need? Two. If there's three numbers, I need three, because every report will stop researching and describing at the boundary of that assessor's parcel number. So if you have three of them, you're missing 2/3 of the property if you don't get three reports. Strange, but true. Good luck convincing any other agent anywhere of that, even though it's been done and they actually believed it. So how much are they paying for the property?
$650,000.
$650,000. And when do they want to close?
Oh, January 6th, 2020.
January 6, 2020, that seems like 10,000 years from now, but it's 30 days from Friday.
Right.
I just have to keep reminding myself every time I read January of 2020. What year is this?
It is around the corner.
So she's got an initial deposit offered there. Oops, I probably should have left the. Where's the price? Anybody? Come on, one more, a little bit. No, there we go. Okay, and you still see the deposit? Yeah. So there's her initial deposit. How much is that?
Oh, $6,000.
$6,000, right? What's her offering price?
How come she didn't check a box? How is she gonna deliver it?
Do you have to check a box there?
Well, be
Okay.
nice.
It'd be nice, right? But the only reason you have to check a box is if you're going to change the default, right? Because there is a default. So let's read that, right? 3A, initial deposit shall be in the amount of $6,000. 3A1, buyer direct deposit. Buyer shall deliver deposit directly to escrow holder by electronic funds transfer. If you don't check a box, that's the only option to deliver it, is you have to wire it in. That's why we check a box. That's why I always check a box. I check this box right here.
Buyer's choice.
And I put buyer's choice. Like, do whatever you want. I don't care if you walk down a coffee can full of pennies. I don't care. Make it easy on yourself, buyer. As long as you get it within there in escrow. How soon after acceptance?
3 days.
3 days. Three what kind of days? Business days. And that's the only reference to business days in the entire contract. 3 business days. And why is it 3 business days, one might think, for you to get money and deposit it with escrow?
Because the banks are closed.
Well, somebody else might be closed too. Escrow. Yeah, the escrow office has to be open, right? It can't be like when I got here this morning, shaking the door going, if somebody shows up. I'm through talking about that.
Is this being recorded?
Yeah.
No, couldn't possibly be. All right, $6,000. Am I happy with that deposit? If I would have written that offer, would I would have used $6,000 for the deposit on $650,000 deal?
No.
No, and does anybody know why?
2%.
I like 2%. 1%'s like paltry, 3%'s the legal limit, 2%'s the middle. There's a lot of science there. It's my favorite line in the whole contract. Well, let's see, wait a minute. Where's this? So we got 650. Everybody stay with me now while we're going scrolling up and down. Is that as big as that? Oh, ooh, even better. $650,000. Oops. Okay, just follow it down because it won't fit on one page. How big's my loan?
6,000 off of the 650. 642, 640.
It's an all cash
It's an
offer.
It's an all cash offer. Yeah.
There is no.
Not getting a loan, right? Yep.
Oh, you see that box, Jay?
Yeah.
3C, all cash offer, no loan is needed to purchase property. This offer is not contingent on buyer obtaining a loan. Written verification of sufficient funds to close this transaction is attached unless you check the box.
There's no way you would want to see the funds before you accept that offer. I know you.
That'd be nice, but that's not the worst part. We find out in another inch or two down where the money's coming from. Okay, we're not getting, it's a cash deal. I like that. I got it listed at $675. They're sitting on a price reduction form, waiting to see if this lady makes an offer or not here about a week ago, to $665. She offers them $650 cash. However, buyer has a hope and a dream that something might happen. I have never seen anybody write it like that. I've seen people attach the COP form, like buyer wants to, buyer's going to sell their house. So I had to call my new best friend, Mary Ann, and go, how hopeful are we? Like, what the hell does that even mean? Buyer hopes to close simultaneously. Spelled wrong. Everybody knows that. It's an E, not an I. With the sale of her Santa Rosa home currently in escrow. Well, we found out her Santa Rosa home is currently in escrow, but I'm not too sure it's going to stay or if she really needs the money, right? She hopes to close simultaneously with the sale of her Santa Rosa home currently in escrow. Is there a plan B, Mary Ann?
Maria just came out of retirement, might be it, right?
I don't know. The license number is like 017, which is about where your mom's is. So that license number is approaching 15 years old.
Yeah, she's
Right.
still a lead, but I just came back. Oh, it's okay.
It's not the other agent.
That's just like, oh God, what the hell is her name? Piazza. Yeah, Michelle Piazza. I know what I'm doing. I sold real estate till 2007, blah, blah. I just took a little hiatus. All right, shit, it's only like 2012 or something. Should be able to roll right back in. No, as it turns out, that's not as easy as it sounds.
Yeah,
Apparently.
starting over.
Yeah.
Did she attach the COP? Or did she just use that line?
Aren't you starting to wonder right there? Like,
Yeah.
how hopeful are you? Did you like use the form that said, I'm actually quite hopeful? In fact, I'm going to make it a contingency agreement, but hey, we got to wait for that. It's on the next page. Right? So I got a cash offer, but I don't have any money. I got $6,000. I don't even know if I have 7, right? But I better have 6 because like if my seller accepted that offer and we opened escrow yesterday, tells today, Wednesday. We opened escrow Monday, let's say. So by tomorrow, 1, 2, 3, right? That deposit would have to be in there. And what happens with escrow is like whether the buyer wires in, brings a coffee can full of pennies, or brings them a check, they're gonna deposit it. It
says
better
wired.
be good.
It says wired.
Yeah, this has to be wired. There are no other options. But you got to pick which hill you're going to die on, right? So as long as the damn money gets there somehow. I'm good. And if she's in
The
Santa
contract
Rosa, I
is
mean,
merely
wire
a
it makes
suggestion.
perfect sense, right?
The contract is merely a suggestion.
Yeah,
This-
it's a guideline. Yeah, it's a guideline until somebody gets mad, and then it's like the Bible. It's like we're all going to stand on it and yell at each other. Incredible. So, seeing as how we have an all-cash deal, even though right now we don't have any cash because we haven't sold our house yet, but I understand. I'm following. We're hopeful. I hope you do too. So, verification, down payment, closing costs, loan terms, all that stuff out, right? No loan. So that stuff's all out. And it was nice of them to let us know in paragraph 3I that they're, even if they got an appraisal, the agreement is not contingent on a written appraisal. When I saw the checkbox, I thought she probably meant to check it that it's contingent on an appraisal, but I think I was just being rude. The agreement is not contingent upon a written appraisal, which, okay, it's an all cash offer. You're probably not going to get an appraisal, but thanks for, being less hopeful and more factual and direct about the fact that even if we got an appraisal, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. I don't care what the property is worth. I'm going to give you $650 cash. Got peach? Loan app, loan contingency, blah, 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 gone, bye, bye, bye. Now, sometimes people will write all cash offer and then check the box 3, whatever that is, J3J4, no loan contingency. Obtaining any loan specified above is not a contingency. So when you're doing an all cash offer, don't check that box. That's a different box. Some people go like, I really need you to know that it's a cash offer and we don't have a loan contingency. Okay, it's a cash offer. You don't have a loan contingency. It said on page 1, you're not getting a loan. Whether you think you are or not, you're not getting a loan. That's what you said when you signed this. You're not getting a loan. So obviously, if you were getting a loan and just lying about it, you don't have a loan contingency. It's not necessary to check that box. That box is there if they were going to get a loan. Let's say she said $650 cash and my cash is coming from a refinance of my current residence or my fourplex or whatever the hell it is. And then check that box going, I'm so sure I'm going to get that HELOC or that refi or whatever that I don't worry about the loan contingency. No problem. I'm going to get that money. Don't worry about it. So if there is a loan mentioned, then you check that box. If you want the seller to know that like, yeah, I'm getting some kind of loan, but it doesn't affect you at all. Don't worry about it. I'm not having, a loan contingency. It doesn't mean it's a cash offer. So yay, Mary Ann didn't check the box. Okay. Whee! And there it is, paragraph 4B, the one that we flipped right to as soon as we read that crap about the, I'm hopeful that I'll close simultaneously with my house. Which to me means like, I'd really like to do that, but it doesn't matter if I can pull it off or not. I'll just buy it anyway. I was pretty excited before I got to page 2, where now it's a typical old paragraph 4B, agreement and buyer's ability to obtain financing are contingent upon the sale of property owned by a buyer specified in the attached addendum CAR form COP, which I have something to say about that too when we get there. Paragraph 5, addendum and advisories. It's on 5 acres, well, septic tank, all that junk. Nobody knows where the hell the property lines or anything. So yeah, good idea to use the septic well and property monument addendum form, which I hope is in this pile. I think it is. This is just an email attachment. I think I got everything. I got almost everything here. So we see in 5, addenda and advisories, 5A, septic well and property monument addendum, the SWPI form is there, right? Nothing else. In B, we have buyer and seller advisory, statewide buyer and seller advisory. Buyer inspection advisory checked, statewide buyer and seller advisory checked. You're only going to see one of those as I scroll through here because I just never got it. So apparently the contract has got a little problem because when you check a box, that form is part of that contract. You don't have the whole contract till you see the form. And the statewide buyer and seller advisory has some blanks on it. You can write crap on there. So eventually we better get that form, I would say. So paragraph 6, seller to leave property clean and clear of all personally belongings and debris. So extra points like I'll buy your coffee. If you know what paragraph says virtually verbatim, seller to leave property clean and clear of all personal belongings and debris.
It's there.
Page 3, middle part down. Is it?
I think it's further down.
Oh, that's a good test,
Yeah.
Gary.
I think it's, I'm gonna throw, how many pages are there?
Now, fortunately, they haven't changed that paragraph for a long time because ever since about 2010, we've been going, okay, 5 is the new 7. It used to be 3 and now it's 12. And paragraph 7 is gone in its entirety, replaced by a form and blah, blah, blah. Paragraph 11 is still paragraph 11. Condition of property. Property sold as is, subject to investigation rights of buyer. Seller to remove all debris and personal property not included in the sale by close of escrow. You don't ever have to say that again. What that means is, hey, seller, I think your property's got a lot of shit on it. Is exactly what that means, you guys. Oh, by the way, at the risk of being redundant, get that crap out of here, which they're doing a pretty good job with it.
I'm sorry, I just want to go back to the advisories. So I was under the understanding that if you check something, for instance, our local disclosures, and you put other local disclosures, even if you didn't include it in the contract, the intent, because you have it there, means that they have to sign it.
Means it's coming, right?
Means it's coming.
It means it's became part of that form.
Exactly.
It has to be there. If you do it right, it has to be there with that form. No one has signed the contract if they haven't signed everything that has a checkbox on it.
However, but what my question is, like, if the SBSA box is checked, which it is, and then in the SBSA, you put the HREG drought.
Yep.
Blah, blah, blah,
Yep.
blah. Do those have to be presented when you submit the offer?
It's all part of the deal. If the SBSA is part of the offer, those are part of the
Do
SBSA.
you submit all of that
Yep.
when you
Yep.
send the offer?
Yep.
Oh, I'm
Yep.
doing that. I send them later.
Yep.
I try
The
not
rest
to
of the-
put 'em in
I mean, if you're asking me, yep. If you're working here and that's working for you, fine. But that's why, if it's a CAR form, that's why when, if you're filling out this document and you check that box, that's why that form immediately jumps into the file and says next, because it knows it has to go with that. Those check boxes mean there are more pages, just like with the 4B, the agreement and buyer's ability to obtain financing or contingency upon the sale of property owned by buyer, blah, 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 attached, addendum CAR form COP. That better be there. Like you're missing a really important part of the contract
By
because
checking
there are
the
blanks
box-
and check boxes
Right.
on that.
By checking the box at 4B, does it pull in the form?
It will,
COP?
yep,
It
yep.
does. Got it. Just like,
on some-
There will be a little, like a dialogue box that comes up and it says COP has been added, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't fill it out for you. You still have work to do. All right. Bling, bling, bling.
what happens if they don't say?
Paragraph 7 used to be 5. We finally quit saying paragraph 7 used to be 5. Paragraph 5 used to be 4. 6, 11. So paragraph 7, and I think it rolls off onto the next page too, right? That's where you can put in stuff. Like for some reason, this gal decided that she really, really likes property ID for her NHD as her NHD provider. So she checked the box, seller shall pay for natural hazard zone disclosure report, including tax, environmental, but not other, prepared by property ID. And I usually don't take those out. It's like, I don't care unless it's, and I forgot the name of that company. It's not my NHD. Century 21 was using one for a long time that was $49 because the rest of them are about 100. And we've probably talked about this. I hope we've talked about it. The NHD The natural hazard disclosure report identifies 6 state of California zones and whether your property's in them or not. Well, nobody knows that usually, so they hire an outfit to do it. So the NHD report, 1-page report, comes attached to 50 other pages with a big discussion and maps and all kinds of crap about the answers on the NHD report form. On the NHD report form, there's 2 paragraphs with check boxes. One of them says, the seller and the agents and everybody, all the people that really kind of don't know what's going on, swear and be damned that this thing is right. Right below that, there's another checkbox that says, all these people with, and it doesn't say swear and be damned, but it might as well. It's got some legal language that says, that's my ass behind this report as the agent and the seller. The other checkbox says, we have, used as diligent as, the correct amount of research and trying and effort and stuff to go get a third-party company that actually knows what the hell's going on. And this is their report and it's their problem. And if you have a problem with this report, you have a problem with them, not me. That's the box you need checked. All the $100 reports that I know of come with that box checked already, so you don't have to worry about it. The $49 report said, this is a pretty good report, but we're going to put the agents on the hook for it and the seller because it's $49. What do you want from me? Research? You want me to make a phone call? What the hell? You want me to actually hire a geologist? They don't. So we pointed that out to Century 20 after seeing billions of those damn things in transactions. Like, hey, just so you guys know, you guys are on the hook every time you do that. Somebody read that frickin' form, man. It was about 2010, or 12 or so, and they quit using it. It went away. I don't know anybody that uses it. And that's why right now I can't remember the name of it. I can't remember if it's My NHD or Safe Report or some shit. It was just a cheapo thing. And the way they got cheap was they had no liability. It was all on the seller. Hey, here, give me your $49. If I put the pages together in the wrong order, you can, chew my ass about it. But if there's something wrong with the report, that's on you. You're the one that signed an affidavit on the front of this thing that said you're responsible. Watch out for that page.
Wow.
And as a buyer's agent, you don't have to sign that page. I'm just saying. So you can say, I love property ID. Please give me a property ID report. I don't have a problem. That's a big damn company. They're probably as good as anybody else anyway. They don't have Melanie. I don't know who the hell the Melody, who the hell the rep is for property ID anymore. I have no idea. It used to be a big deal around here. Now, not so much. But on that report, it'll say like the report companies like on the hook, the buyers, the agents and the seller did a good job of finding you a good company. So don't worry about it. If you got a problem, call the company and you'll talk to an attorney like right off the bat. So good luck calling the company. They'll explain stuff to you. Kind of beat that up, right? Paragraph 7.2. 7A2, sorry. So seller should pay for the following report. You can put anything you want there. Now we have forms for about half the reports that you're going to get, but there isn't a form to say, I want you to give me a wood destroying pest report as part of this deal. So you just write it right there in 7.2. Some people will write the well and the septic and all that stuff in there, but we have a form for that. Just use the form. We don't have a form that says, please give me a pest control report. So you can write it in there. And then if you go back to 7A, it says inspection reports and certificates, unless otherwise agreed in writing. This paragraph only determines who is to pay for the inspection, test, certificate, or service report, or hereinafter called report mentioned. It does not determine who's to pay for any work recommended or identified in the report. So when they say seller shall pay for the following report, key termite pest inspection, if you want them to do any work, you write in there and do the work. If you don't write and do the work in there, it says right above that in the pre-printed 8-point bold, they're not doing any work. They're spending $89 getting your report. You're on your own, Mr. Buyer.
But you could put in your request for
You can put in the request for repairs, right? Do the work, and then is the seller obligated to do the work at that time?
No,
No, they're not.
No, they're not.
Do they even have to respond to the
Yeah.
request for repairs?
Yeah.
They do not. Go to the head of the class, all of you.
So Gary, a question.
We're adjourned, yes.
I'm sorry. So I have a contract where it was accepted, where it was pest report and section 1 clearance. Okay, so they had a pest report done.
So you wrote it right in there, right?
Yes, yeah.
I want you to do a pest report, and I want you to give me a
Section
section 1 clearance. So whatever it says in the report to clear section 1, you do it, you pay for it. Yep.
So they had one done like 2 months ago, but when I had the home inspector out, he found termites, of course, on the roof. But it's a homeowner association. So, and the homeowner association is responsible for the outside maintenance. How?
You're right.
I'm
Yeah.
confused.
So a lot of times that turns into a negotiation because you got to find out what the hell the homeowner, two things happen, I guess. You got to find out what the homeowners association is up to at this time. So you never know until you find out. You get your HOA docs or you talk to somebody, do a little research. You might find out that the homeowners association added what do they call it? Assessment of another $100 a month to go toward termite work, and they're going to do the termite work in June of 2020. That could totally happen.
Well,
And you could put in here, give me a section 1 clearance. Well, hopefully the listing agent is not in some kind of fog or had a stroke or God knows what, and is paying attention and is going to tell you, that's an HOA thing.
yeah, no. it was
So we're
accepted.
going to just see how that goes, because that's what you do is you kind of see how it goes.
Okay, so I looked at the HOA docs and they've got money in there and everything is staggered. So it's this building will be fumigated,
Yeah.
all these.
So they're all
sections.
set up and they're probably not going to go out of sequence for you.
I
So
mean, and it doesn't tell you which ones they're going to do either. It just says buildings.
you got to talk to people, Yep. And sometimes you can get surprised, right? There's we're doing a deal on a PUD development in Oceano that has a homeowners association that takes care of the outside of the buildings. Like, it could happen. That was kind of a shocker. And I thought, yeah, the seller's probably on the hook for this. They're PUDs. I understand they have a HOA because they got private driveways and parking, a lot of pavement to take care of. Yeah, that makes sense. Usually on a PUD thing, the only thing the HOA does is like landscaping and driveways.
Right.
Why-
But these guys, for some reason, when they approve that development, they put the HOA on the hook for the outside of the
What's
buildings.
deal with fences? Like on my SPQ, this other property, there's 3 fences, right? And she put on there, and I've got to find this out. I just found this out last night. Okay, so, but it says 1 shared fence. What about the other 2?
Maybe she thinks it's
That's
like a
state-
long,
it's
kind of a
state law
continuous thing. I don't know. Yeah. And that's what you do. You find out, just got to talk to people. I mean, you got to deal with the crazy answers you get. That's always fun.
Going out this way towards.
3 properties.
Might not be shared. Yeah. Who knows? It's
gotta
probably
be-
shared,
it's gotta
right?
be shared almost, if it's close to the property line. The law's gonna tell you it's shared, so
Yep.
you each own 50% of it.
If it's on the line. Yeah. If it's not on the line, whoever's property it's on, it's their problem.
Unless
And
you
good luck
share
with
it.
that. You got to know,
Right,
you got
that's
to find the monuments. They better not have been moved. I mean, yep. Yeah, it's all about me. That's why you pay the big bucks. We make, what's this deal? That's a $650,000 deal. Like, suppose you were in that deal by yourself and that was a 6% commission. Like, how much is that? Like 40 G's, right? Can you make a phone
46,000.
call?
49,000.
For $49,000 on one deal, can you call somebody? Yeah, sure. You just got to do some research. You got to call around. Then you got to, interpret the research, I guess, and try to figure out what the hell's going on.
Because the agent said what she typically does is she said either one of us could go to the homeowner association and get them to send a letter stating that it would be done like within 4 months or something.
Yeah, that's a good idea. If
And
you
she
get those
said-
guys to write a
and I
letter or
thought that was
something, that's
nice. She
awesome.
said, do you want me to do that? I was like, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. She goes, oh, that's what we always do. Like, yeah, sure. Great. Yep. No
I think
problem.
that's a good idea.
And then
Doesn't
you
mean
want
she'll get
that during your 17 days or whatever you're using for an inspection period.
So I don't know if that's, sorry, but maybe it's beneficial to someone else.
Oops.
I've been to multiple times.
Pocket dial.
Fence is close to the
I don't know why I
property.
wanted to talk to AG
Probably
Vet right
both
there.
people. And if you tear it out and put it back in without your neighbor's signature, then you get to pay the whole bill. But if you agree on, like, it falls over,
Mhm.
then usually they'll go after insurance on both parties.
Right, exactly. I went through that in the house recently.
Yeah, they did change some laws about that.
Oh.
So we did the termite, yeah, okay, beat. I've seen we've had a little trouble over the years with 7B, but I see Mary Ann checked all the boxes. That's what I do, is I just check all the boxes, because all the boxes in 7B have some kind of like disclaimer in them. Like 7B1, sellers will pay for smoke alarm and carbon monoxide device installation, water heater bracing if required by law. Is it required by law?
No.
Was that
Maybe.
smoke alarm? Yeah, I thought
It
was.
might be. It is. Usually, most of the time it's required by law. Some sellers are exempt from smoke detector,
Oh, trust.
whatever that says.
No smoke detectors, smoke alarms.
Smoke alarm,
Big
yeah,
thing,
that's
yeah.
it, yeah.
Go to the fire marshal, it's.
Yeah, even though the
Huge
forms all
difference.
say smoke detector on them, the WHSD is not the water heater smoke alarm form. It's the water heater smoke detector form.
And what detectors?
So sellers pay for smoke alarm, carbon monoxide device install, and water heater bracing if required by law. There are some instances where the only thing they got to do is the water heater bracing, because the carbon monoxide device installation is not a point of sale requirement. All the houses, I think all the houses by now, because that law has been in effect for 6 years, I think everything people live in by now pretty much has got to have a carbon monoxide device in it. But you can sell a house without it. The law doesn't say you have to put one in if you're selling. It says you have to put one in. Just like it says you have to get a permit for that other bathroom. Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't when you're selling, you know, you just got to see what happens. Now, the carbon monoxide device, the way CAR went to war on that was they said, we don't want another point of sale thing. We don't want to be the carbon monoxide detector police. What happened? Yes, we are, right? Because appraisers and home inspectors will turn, basically, the appraiser will leave if your property's illegal, and your property's illegal if it doesn't have a carbon monoxide detector in it. So yesterday, the appraiser's coming to 820 Juniper at 1 o'clock. At 12:30, I'm in there putting carbon monoxide detector in, like real quick right before he got there.
Where'd you put them at?
Because if they leave and then come back, I'm kind of wherever I want. A lot of times I'll call the appraiser or a home inspector, or whoever I'm trying to beat to the punch, and ask them, where do you want to see that thing? Because I've seen 2 different inspections come out with 2 different locations. Now, the ruling entity, I guess you could say, is still, as far as I know, state fire marshal.
Yes,
And they tell you where they're supposed to go.
yes.
Everywhere there's a smoke detector, there's supposed to be a carbon monoxide detector. Everybody else says one on every sleeping floor.
And 24 inches off the floor with a carbon monoxide.
And no closer than.
So they go on the ceiling, they go all over the place. I put that one on the ceiling yesterday. I know the appraiser's good with it.
Yeah, see? Yes.
Because the lady goes like, don't put it down there. I don't want to hit it with a vacuum. I don't want to hit it with that. I don't want to hit it with this. Now you bring up a good point, because it's like, I toddle my little ass down there real quick and put that in. You kind of don't want to do that much. You want to have them do that, or have them get somebody to do that. You really don't want to be the guy that decided where the smoke detector or the carbon monoxide detector went in case something ever happens. Well, that thing should have went off. Who in the hell put it up there? Oh, that real estate agent.
It was there.
Dirty,
Oh, Lord.
right? Sometimes you get caught in little binds and you do things. You
Gary,
make
if you go to the
it.
state fire marshal page, they've got where they want everything put at on.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah, I've done that, because I've had people ask me questions and I tell them, well, you could go check that, but if you turn into a plumber or a electrician or the smoke detector installer, you're off the reservation. Stop doing
If you
that.
buy a carbon
Let
monoxide-
somebody else do it. The law says whatever it says on the manufacturer's instructions is good enough. Now, when the house burns down, the state fire marshal's got a different opinion. So,
You get one that plugs into the wall, you can't be wrong.
yeah, that's the other thing. Or, well, the only way you can't be wrong is don't do anything, but tell your seller, hey, before that appraiser gets here, we always make sure those carbon monoxide detectors are in. And the trouble is the appraiser is going to knock your deal off the tracks without this stupid carbon monoxide detector. They're going to go, oh, we have to come back. I'm not going to turn this report in until I see a carbon monoxide detector. So in spite of CAR's best efforts, carbon monoxide detectors are, for all intents and purposes, a point of sale requirement because the appraiser won't finish until somebody puts one in there.
Hubbell says they gotta be in.
Yeah, Hubbell shouldn't say that.
That's what they say.
Yeah, you're out of your purview. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
But well, I mean, I shouldn't say it. You could have a company policy that say you could recommend it, but you can't rewrite the law. There's plenty of stuff that says don't circumvent the law. You could definitely recommend it. I mean, I just kind of did, right? I just said, like, tell your seller to put that in. So I kind of did the same thing. Just kind of couched it different. Watch my hands instead of listening to me. That's right.
Have you read the difference between a smoke alarm and
Nope,
a smoke detector?
never. It's over my purview.
Man,
Over my purview. I don't need to know
never
that.
write the word detector.
But I know I've heard that story.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't write the word detector in there anyway, right?
No, I know.
It's pre-printed.
Yeah.
So if they get it wrong, that's why we use their forms and we don't write on them any more than we have to explain something. C, escrow and title, buyer and seller shall pay escrow fee. So you got to fill something in there, right? If you leave that blank, it's like, well, buyer and seller shall pay escrow fee. You mean we'll both pay the fee? Like, what the hell are you talking about? So there are times you got to write crap in there, but don't do it any more than you have to. And then you're, safer. But you're making too much money and your insurance is too good. So you're never safe. You're never completely safe. You're one of the deep pockets members of the transaction, whether Realtor, E&O insurance likes it or not, which is why it's hard for people to collect from E&O insurance. That's another place where anybody that calls them, the first guy you talk to is an attorney with a ponytail and an earring and his tie's a little long. And he's got his feet on the desk and he has only got one job, and that's shut you up and not pay anybody any money no matter what. So it's good to have insurance. We don't want to pay anybody any money. Same thing with the rest of paragraph 7B. Sellers pay the cost of compliance with any other minimum mandatory government inspection and report if required as a condition of close and escrow. If there's a law in some town that says we have to have all solar installations inspected by the city or you can't sell, well, you have to do that. That's a minimum mandatory government thing required as a condition of close and escrow. Like the low flow toilets and all that other crap is a mandatory government thing required as a condition of close and escrow. Most of that stuff is required as a condition of close and escrow, but no one checks. It's on the realtor, it's on the transaction coordinator. Escrow's not going to go hunting for the, they have low flow toilets. The city is not coming to check. The county's not coming to check. I always thought that was kind of a weird law. State of California said, okay, the entire state's low flow now. Period. You're all low flow. And when you sell, you got to go low flow. You guys have a guy comes to check? No, we don't. It'd be really great if you did that. So, ergo, again, real estate agents are basically real estate cops. So sometimes it's hard to, when they always tell somebody, like, they tell you guys, like, go to your listing presentation, go to your buyer presentation, convincing people that, like, you're the best thing that ever happened to them. You're a real estate cop. Are you the best thing that ever happened to them? As a seller, maybe not so much. Seller can just plead ignorance, right? Until they get a real estate agent in the deal. Now they got to do everything right. So good luck with that.
So 1, 2I, and I2,
Yep.
the agent or one might counter that out.
Yeah, a lot of people do that, which is, to me, is just downright stupid. A, you can't rewrite the law.
But who pays it was countered.
Oh, well, you can change who pays it. That's why there's 2 check boxes, right?
Exactly.
If you say, hey, the seller's going to pay the cost of compliance with any other minimum mandatory government inspection and report if required as a condition to close an escrow in your lot, and the seller says, no, buyer's paying for that, I'm not paying for that. That's a stupid paragraph because that shouldn't be able to be negotiated that way, but it is. There's a buyer's checkbox. If that's a minimum mandatory government inquired inspection that the seller's responsible for as a condition to close an escrow, I don't see my buyer ever paying for that. Now government inspection and reports. So 2I is inspections and reports. Retrofits are two I's, I guess, or whatever. There's too little too. And that's where all that low flow toilet stuff and all that stuff comes in there. I just don't see the seller going like, yeah, okay, yeah, buyer, you do it. And buyer goes, yeah, all right,
No, it
fine,
happened. It's
I'll
happened.
do it. I ain't freaking doing it. Just tell that idiot I'm doing it. I'm not doing it. The law said it had to be done and the seller had to do it. All those laws, all those civil code entries start with seller shall.
That means
So when
they
the buyer
have
goes,
to.
yeah, fine, I'll pay for it. I don't know when, someday, maybe when I sell. Not doing it now.
So why would an agent counter it out? What's the point?
Because they're from Santa Maria. Is that where that happened?
No.
That's unusual because that was
Up north.
rampant in Santa Maria a year
Oh,
ago.
she's up
Just
north.
rampant.
Paso.
Oh, like out of town?
Paso.
Out of the
No,
area?
No,
Oh,
Paso area, North County. That's how
interesting.
they are.
You know, because
Been around.
somebody's E&O lawyer decided like, hey, we don't want to be responsible for any of that. Some E&O lawyer outsmarted CAR and spread some bullshit that became agent myth, that became agent law, that a bunch of brokers bought into, and it just screws with the contracts. As far as I'm concerned, they're all wrong every time they do that. CAR writes these contracts, they'll stand behind them if you don't monkey with them. When you start monkeying with them, they start saying, oh, wait a minute, that was your fault. Okay, that's dumb. We don't want to do that. But hey, you know, to each his own. All franchises are independently owned and operated, blah, 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 blah. All these brokers got their own license. They passed the test. Like, good luck, everybody. To me, nah, that makes no sense. It's good to fill in the blank with something there where it says in, I cut the top off, title and escrow, buyer and seller should pay escrow fee 50-50 split. Why is that there? Why does it say 50-50?
Normal,
This is
just like
customer.
That's the way we always do it. That's what legal meetings in mine sometimes call, or like hospital billing and stuff, customary, local customary, standard and customary crap, like it's just the way we do it. They don't do it that way in the Bay Area.
who pays that?
The buyer pays escrow and title, I think. Somebody had a big shout match with me one time. I said, yeah, the house is in Napoma. I give a good goddamn what they do in the Bay Area. Welcome to hell. Now shut up. Sit down, put on your seatbelt. I'm driving. Carly ought to hang on. Escrow holder shall be blank. And in 2, somebody needs to pay for the owner's title insurance policy. How come it says owners? Are there more than one title insurance policy in a deal? Sometimes. There's a lender's title insurance.
Oh, right.
There's a whole nother escrow called the sub escrow that's the loan escrow, and it's got a bunch of tie-in crap. The lender gets a prelim and title insurance basically of their own. So the owner's policy means the guy buying the house, he gets title insurance as part of the deal. But if he's getting a loan, there's another policy and another bill and all that stuff. Buyer pays for all that stuff. It's not even mentioned here. So somebody should pay for the owners. I mean, that's negotiable. The buyer could say, I'm paying for everything because I want to get a deal and I don't want the seller to worry. So I'm paying for everything. You can check all the buyer boxes, but somebody needs to pay for the owner's title insurance policy. An owner's title policy to be issued by, so put something in there. Now I always just put seller's choice. I put seller's choice on every blank in there that says, name a company to do this. I'm not paying for it. Seller, hire whoever you want. You didn't hire my guy because I didn't give you anybody's name. You hired your own guy. They muffed it from hell to breakfast. We're going to have to talk. That was your guy. I always use seller's choice. Unless maybe I'm the listing agent and we're canceling an escrow with Fidelity right now at 11 o'clock and putting the backup offer in. I might talk to them a little bit about, we could just slide into the old slot if that works for you guys. I mean, we have a half-finished escrow sitting right there. Doesn't it just make sense to let them run with it? But do you have to? No. Sometimes escrows not close and agents don't get paid you all the time. Sometimes escrows don't close and the escrow company doesn't get paid. Yep, happens all the time. It's just, I never did see a reason to go open it somewhere else and do the whole thing over again and drive everybody nuts. All the way to page 2.
So what if you
Worksheet.
forgot to, I mean, this happened to me. I
Yeah,
didn't
go
know
ahead.
what the result was.
I'm
On
gonna
my
do one
first-
more thing, but now I gotta find
I
it.
forgot to check who buyer or seller was going to pay for the home warranty.
Oh, no. Split it.
Oh, really?
If the other agent agrees, I mean, I was the one that forgot, so, and it was with LV, so I'm thinking she wasn't gonna pay it, so. I guess we-
Yeah, probably not. Yeah. Yeah. Who always gets stuck on that?
Yeah.
You make a little boo-boo. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh, you're just walking around with a Target on, you know, like, just like a Target commercial, both sides, like bullseye all like lit up. Yeah. So the last thing I want to talk about on this forum, and then we'll stop because it's already a few minutes after 11, is one thing this agent could have done different, which I espouse and teach, is when you're gonna list a property, whenever you're gonna write a contract, and there's people involved. It's pretty much every contractor we're gonna write, and a property. Somewhere there is a document that says who owns it, how they own it, and what they own. What might that be?
The, oh my God, I can't believe, it's in the title. I go to first day, my first AM, it's your deed of trust.
No, not your,
It wasn't coming to me.
not your deed of
That's
trust.
where
Your deed of trust might work if you can't
the deed,
find
just, you know,
grant deed, the grant deed. Otherwise known as the vesting deed, right? Because it might be an
Right.
affidavit of death of joint tenant, and there might be there's a document that says what in the hell is going on. The document, this lady, it would have been great if she would have pulled it. It would have, because the main reason I'm saying that is, I want you to pull the deeds. Everybody hates doing it. It's like the second easiest thing you'll ever do, so I don't know why they hate
Yeah.
doing it. And if this thing was like $650 cash and no house sale contingency, I mean, a pretty damn good offer. She either has to amend it or have to counter it because Elizabeth R. Molina owns half of the house. Christina M. Ruiz owns the other half.
Nice.
Elizabeth can only sell half the house. $650 for half. We're in. So I want to tell the agent, like, let me get a hold of Christine and see if if you got another $650, if she'll sell you the other half. Like, for Christ's sake, just look up the freaking ownership and quit going to the tax records. All you're going to get is the name on the tax bill. If you get a trust for a big family, for instance, that owns a property, like my dad and my uncle's place out there, there's 2 trusts. Well, they only send them 1 tax bill. They've always only sent them 1 tax bill. We got 2 trusts. The trusts between them have 16 heirs,
Oh, geez.
and we move around where the tax bill goes. So one of the kids always shows up on like Realist and stuff as the owner. They'll show up as Joe Blow trustee. They're not a trustee. It's a mistake. And if all you ever look at is the tax records, you end up writing the wrong name in there every time. And the first thing you got to do is go, because you don't have a contract. The person's name you wrote there can't sell the house. Elizabeth, my old pal Liz, can't sell that house. She can sell half of it. She only owns half of it. She owns undivided half.
Did you let that agent know this?
I countered her. She made me counter her. Yeah.
Where do you go to pull the deed? Which office?
That's a secret.
Will you
I'll
please
tell you.
tell me?
So what I do,
App.
what I do, oftentimes, it's a lot better now than it ever was. So there's all the title companies have websites or apps or something where you can get the deed.
Okay.
But the place we traditionally get the deed is the title company, whoever your favorite title officer is.
You can call.
And that would be a title officer. Escrow people don't do title. So don't call escrow people looking for deeds, because they're going to go call the title guy you should have called in the first place, or emailed or whatever. But First American, I suppose Placer does too. The title companies have customer service email addresses. You can just email them. I need the vesting deed for the so-and-so address, assessor's parcel number, blah. In a minute and a half, you'll get it back. Or you use one of the apps or the websites, My First Am, Fidelity Passport, I don't know what the hell Placer's is.
Yeah.
Stewart Title, whoever, and you just go look it up. You can push a little button and there it is. And if you don't like what showed up, there's a customer service button on there where it actually sends a request to the customer service email, and in a minute and a half, you'll get the deed back. It's like super hard.
You're on page 9.
Now getting the deed,
Page 5.
you want to get
Paragraph 11.
the vesting deed. Oh, did you go look it up? That sounds
I
right.
had to look
Sounds
it
like
up.
page 5. Was I right?
Yes.
Because till somebody goes and looks it up, I don't
It is
remember.
right.
Shit, I've been doing this for
It is
31
right.
years. How would I know?
It is right.
Says right in there, all debris and personal property to be removed, and not included in the sale, to be removed by the
It
closing.
is right.
Okay, so that's today's admonition is crying out loud, pull the damn deed. I remember when I initiated that at Prudential, like especially the Lompoc office, they were up in arms because they never did CMAs for anything. They just knew everything because it's a tiny microcosm of a market.
Wow.
Everybody knew everybody and knew every house and knew what they probably ought to be getting.
Don't worry.
And they never
Someone
pulled
will
the
teach
deed
you
because
about
they
that.
just didn't care, because they said what everybody's always said about that, title will fix it. Title will not rewrite your contract. In fact, escrow and title are prohibited from amending or superseding your contracts by their very instructions. It says right in there.
Well,
Escrow instructions shall not amend or supersede the contract. If you got the contract wrong, the contract's wrong. How many houses have sold that way in the history of real estate? Most of them. The contracts are shit. Which is why I became a contract evangelist. But I only do it for an hour a week. So there you have it. Okay, 11:12, that ain't bad for me. Necessarily. Hey, there's the buyer's inspection advisory I talked about, and the SWPI. And there's the COP. Oh yeah, one more thing I want to do here. Now, this lady works for Amy Gallagher. Has anybody ever heard Amy Gallagher say, I don't care who you are, if you send me a form with that box check, not happening. Her agent sends me a form with that box check. The box check that says the house sale contingency and the seller's right to notify are never going to happen. I'm going to have a contingency till the day I close escrow on both of them. The box says during the term of the agreement, the seller is not allowed to give me a 3-day notice to fish or cut bait. And Amy has always said, don't do that, because we can read, we're going to take that out. So Mary Ann, that works in Amy's San Luis office, checks the box. So the other thing I did in my counter, just for fun, was take it out.
But what's wrong with that? I mean, I've done it and I've checked that. It gives you.
If
all
you're,
the protection
are you
of
working
the
for your buyer? Check it all day long. Check it all day long. Are you working for the seller like I am in this case? That's an awful long time to go without being able to get somebody out of the deal. Now, is it the worst thing in the world? Because this thing's supposed to close January 6th. They have a 21-day inspection period in there. So if we don't open escrow, it's already the 4th. Like if I can't put this thing together before Friday, 30 days is January 6th anyway. Christmas is right in the middle of it. I've probably got 15 work days to get this done. I'm not getting anything else done by January 6th anyway.